All right, today we're cracking open one of the most influential and, let's be honest, controversial books ever written, Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince. Now, our goal here isn't to just give you a book report. Instead, I'm going to hand you a toolkit, a set of keys, really, to unlock its challenging and often shocking ideas for yourself. So let's dive in. And yeah, that is a really good question. This book has a reputation, right? It's seen as ruthless, cynical, even a little bit evil. But here's the thing. Instead of being intimidated, let's look at it as a challenge. Think of it as a 500-year-old puzzle about power. And today, we're going to figure out how to decode it together. Okay, here's our game plan. We're going to build your toolkit with 4 key strategies. First, we'll learn to see the book as an argument, not just a story. Then, we're going to put his evidence under a microscope. Third, we will learn to listen for the crucial things he doesn't say. And finally, my favorite part, we're going to get ready to argue right back. So, our first tool is all about a major shift in perspective. You have to understand that Machiavelli isn't just telling you stories about old kings and popes. No. In every single chapter, he's building a case, piece by piece, like a lawyer making an argument in court. What this means is he is constantly making these very specific claims about the nature of power. He's not some neutral observer just reporting what he sees. He's much more like a prosecutor, passionately arguing a very distinct worldview and presenting what he believes is ironclad proof to back it all up.
You know, this is what made him so incredibly radical back in the day. For centuries, political thinkers based their ideas on abstract philosophy or theology, all about how things should be. Machiavelli just comes in and flips the whole table. He grounds his entire argument in what has been, in the messy, brutal, real-world case studies of history.
So, your job as a reader is to become a kind of detective. With every chapter, you need to ask yourself 3 basic questions. 1, what's he actually arguing here? 2, what evidence, what historical examples is he giving me? And 3, the big one, does that evidence really support his claim? This leads us perfectly into our second tool, examining the evidence. Because, look, if Machiavelli is the lawyer making a case, then history is his star witness. This is so important to his entire project. He deliberately chooses real historical examples over fancy philosophical principles because he believes history offers concrete, tangible lessons. For him, the past isn't just a storybook. It's a data set on how power truly, actually works. And you'll start to notice pretty quickly that the same names keep popping up. You get figures like the notoriously ruthless Caesar Borgia, the great founder Moses, the cunning Ferdinand of Aragon, and a whole bunch of Roman emperors. For Machiavelli, these aren't just names. They are Exhibit A, B, and C in his case for what it really takes to win. But see, this is where your critical thinking has to kick in. Is his interpretation of these events the only one? Is he being totally accurate? And maybe the biggest question of all, can you really take the actions of one person in one specific context and turn that into a universal rule for all time? He wants you to wrestle with that. Okay, on to our third tool. This one's a little more subtle, but it is just as powerful. It's all about learning to listen for the silence, paying attention not just to what Machiavelli says, but to what he deliberately leaves out. As you read, you're going to notice this stunning omission. There are pretty much no appeals to God. No long speeches about justice with a capital J, no mention of natural law or what we would just call traditional morality. He almost never talks about what's right or wrong. And that silence is deafening, and it's completely intentional. So, if he's not using morality as his yardstick, what is he using? Well, he swaps it out for a completely different standard: effectiveness. The ultimate test for any action in his world isn't whether it's good or evil, it's does it work? Does it help a ruler get power and, more importantly, hold on to it? For him, that is the only metric of success. And that brings us to our final and, I think, most important tool. You are not meant to just passively read this book. Machiavelli is trying to pick a fight with you, and he absolutely expects you to push back. This is probably the biggest shift you can make. Stop reading The Prince like it's some kind of instruction manual. Start reading it as a series of deliberate provocations. It's a book of incredibly challenging questions that are disguised to look like simple answers. I mean, he throws out one of the most famous questions in all of politics. Is it really better to be feared than loved? He says yes, it's much safer. But don't just accept that. Argue with it. Does that actually match what you know about good leadership? What are the massive downsides of being feared? He wants you to have that debate.
Or how about this one? He makes this bold claim that prophets with armies always succeed, while the ones who rely only on persuasion are doomed. Again, he's challenging you. So can you think of any counterexamples? Can you think of people who changed the world without a single soldier at their back? He actually respects a reader who does their own research and pushes back.
So, as we wrap this up, let's be clear about the final challenge of reading this book. It's not just about understanding Machiavelli, it's about understanding that he was writing for an audience just like you.
And that's really the heart of it all. He wasn't writing for the naive, or for people who wanted easy answers. He wrote this for people who were serious about how the world works, who weren't afraid of uncomfortable truths, and who were smart enough to engage with really difficult ideas. He trusted his reader. He was writing for you.
So now you have the toolkit. You have everything you need to read this book not as a passive observer, but as an active participant in a debate that's been going on for 500 years. The only question left is, what will you find when you open its pages?